Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. Hello and welcome to Daily with Doc, everybody. My name is Becca Dukes, and as the hostess of this program, it is my honor and privilege to have you here investing time into yourself, as today it is Pharmacist Fridays on Daily with Doc. So we're super excited as we're going to be doing questions and answers. And with those questions, I can't think of a better person than somebody that is coming out from behind that counter with the white coat, handing out pharmaceuticals. No, he's not handing out pharmaceuticals. He's handing out recommendations on what you can do all on your own here on Daily with Doc. So if you were invited by somebody specific, make sure that you get back with them. They cared enough about you, took the time to share this program with you because they knew you were going to get some helpful information. So get back with them if you have any questions, and most importantly, tell them thank you. Now, if you're out on any of the platforms, make sure that you like and subscribe to our channel so that you get notifications, and comment. Let us know where you're joining us from. For those of you who are here live in the Zoom with us, yes, we are a live program with an audience, and we are going to be taking questions as time permits. Make sure that if you have a question, you raise your hand now, and in that chat, make sure you have it open, because Marilyn does a fantastic job of putting dictation in there, transcribing what is spoken into text so that you can take a screenshot of it and take it to the person that shared this program with you. Or if you're not working with anybody, one of our certified holistic health coaches who can be reached at 855-949-3377. Also, this program is being sponsored by dailywithdoc.com, where you're going to find access to our previous programs, articles, a store with any of the products that are mentioned on today's program, and more. So sign up for our newsletter there. Again, that's dailywithdoc.com. So today, Pharmacist Fridays, and it is with the one and only one of my good friends, mentors, a man that has been so instrumental in opening our eyes and helping us understand that we can be our own authorities. We do not have to have somebody tell us what our symptoms are, because we're feeling them. And he's given us options as to what we can do to help ourselves. So help me welcome Pharmacist Ben Fuchs. Hello, Pharmacist Ben from Colorado. Welcome. How are you, my friend?
Good to see you. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you for the kind introduction. Thank you to all our 6 listeners, or 20 listeners, or viewers, or whoever's on the call here.
We've got more than six,
We
really?
have more than
Come
six?
on
Oh,
now.
okay. All right.
Yeah, there's quite
Um,
a few more.
hey, so I read an article this morning, caught my attention. I wanted to share it real quick with you. This is from
Oh,
the
please.
journal. Yeah, this is actually that's not an article. It's a scientific journal, a scientific article from a journal called Neurology, which is a peer-reviewed journal. Long-term consumption of ultra-processed foods and Parkinson's disease. Quote, consumption of ultra-processed foods associated with a higher risk of various chronic diseases, but its relationship to Parkinson's disease remains unclear. Finally, conclusion, higher UPF, ultra-processed food consumption, was associated with increased odds of Parkinson's symptoms, including constipation, body pain, and depressive symptoms. And I just thought that was really cool because it just highlights the whole idea that we have so much control over our chronic degenerative, how our diseases show up. It's kind of tricky because people don't want to necessarily not eat the popcorn or the French fries or the potato chips or all the things we like to eat, but we still have control. If you want to eat whatever you want to eat, go for it. Have at it. That's not a big deal. But just know that you have control and you have options. Parkinson's disease is one of those diseases that doctors can't do anything about except for give the hormone that is in short supply when you have the illness. Parkinson's disease is marked by a deterioration of a part of the brain that produces dopamine. Dopamine is responsible for reward, the reward of opening up a doorknob or lifting a glass of water to your lips or a fork. All of these movements require activation of reward chemistry via dopamine. Dopamine's low, no reward chemistry. It becomes difficult to hold a glass of water in your mouth or to open up a door. You know, you get these, you've all seen what Parkinson's disease symptoms look like, and it can be pretty horrific and it can kill you. The point is, we have control and it's not around the doctor and we have to get it through our head. And I think I might have said this on our last call. I keep forgetting who I said what to on what call, but I talked about mindset. Did we talk about mindset on this call?
We did talk about
It's
mindset.
about mindset. It's about believing. It's about thinking and believing that you have control. If we think it's out of our hands and we go to the doctor, in fact, if you go to the doctor when you have Parkinson's disease, and you know good and well there's nothing they can do about it, not only have you drank the Kool-Aid, but you're abdicating responsibility and you're abdicating and you're giving up power and giving up control over your disease process. Yes, everybody loves French fries and potato chips. That's great. But just understand, or pizza, or boxed whatever, bagged whatever, they're made to love. They create them so we love them. They know exactly what buttons to push, what biochemical buttons to push, so we can't stop eating the potato chips. So I get it. But just know that we have some power. And if we have the willingness, we can take our our disease bull by the horns and change it and change our prognosis by ourselves. We don't, not only do we not need doctors, they can't do anything about it. I was just listening to a video. In fact, I don't know where I can post these short video shorts. I ran into a video short. It is so cool. It's by a guy named Dana White. Maybe you heard of him. He's a wrestler or it's something to do with the Wrestling Foundation. AJ, you can help me out on this.
MMA.
It's MMA. Okay. So he says on this video, he says, I never go to doctors. I would never, if I break my, he says exactly what I tell people. If you break your arm, you go to a doctor. But if you have a disease, you don't go to a doctor. People, you don't go to a doctor. There's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can do. Unless you want to support him, that's great. He's your friend. You want to send his kid to college, help him buy a Mercedes and put a mortgage, pay his mortgage, that's great. But there's nothing they can do. But it doesn't matter because simply by changing the way we eat, we can have a huge impact on the prognosis of our disease state and on the symptoms. And they're all reversible. And this should be the best news anybody who has a CDD, chronic degenerative disease, can ever hear, or somebody who's taking care of somebody who has a CDD can ever hear. And that's me. That's the end of my high horse, and I'm done proselytizing. But it's really, I take it personally because I see the letters. You know, we all see the letters here on the call. How tragic is it when you read these letters? It's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking.
It's
Yeah.
heartbreaking. And the worst is when you hear people have being carved up like a Christmas turkey and they've had their ovaries removed and their breasts removed and their gallbladder removed. I'm not kidding. This is, I talk to people who have multiple organs removed from their body. And what are you going to do at that point? And this is what happens. And it's not that the doctors are stupid, and it's not that they're mean, and they're not that they're, evil people. It's that that's the model that's been set up for us, and it's an antiquated model. It's not a model that understands the regenerative capacities that are built in to the human body, but it doesn't matter because we can do it ourselves, and everybody out there, we're going to help you do it yourself. We can help you do that. And that's why we're all here on this call. Thank you, everybody, Rebecca and Ruth Ellen and Marilyn and Albert and AJ and everybody else who's participating on this call. God bless everybody, and let's take some questions.
All right, first question. And folks, remember, as you're listening, accept the fact that you are an empowered individual. You are empowered. You can make choices. You are given this brain to make choices, especially those that make sense. So I know Dad used to say, well, not everybody's common sense is that of another's, but there's some things, Ben, that is just like it's being said, and I was like, really? Do you not think even for a second for yourself? But let's not go there. Let's keep it positive. I would like to know, what is your opinion or thoughts on eating for a blood type?
Okay, so eating for blood type is this concept that was developed by a guy, I think his name was Peter Adamo, back in the 1990s, when he noticed that certain bloods would respond differently to certain foods in a test tube or a petri dish. In biochemistry and chemistry and science, whenever they assess something inside the body, it's very, not whenever, but sometimes it's very difficult to assess things in the body, because what are you going to do when you want to figure out what's happening in real time? How are you going to get a camera inside the body to detect what's happening? Can't really do that. So a lot of our understanding about the body is based on what's called in vitro science. In vitro is a science that is distinguished from in vivo. That is, studies and research that's done in vitro are different from studies and research that's done in vivo. In vivo means in life, in real life, in the body. And for logistical reasons, it's difficult to see what's happening inside the body in real time, obviously. So in order to do a workaround, they'll do things in vitro. Vitro is glass, is Latin for the word glass, and in vitro means in a test tube or in a petri dish. And so what Peter Adamo did, he took some blood from different blood types, AB, A, B, O, etc., and he put them in a petri dish, and he put different kinds of foods in with the blood, and this is how food allergy tests are typically done. And he noticed that AB blood worked a certain way, A blood worked a certain way, B blood, etc. And then he came up with a diet called Eat Right for Your Blood Type, which sounds great, right? But the problem, again, this is in vitro, not in vivo, and it turns out in the animal kingdom, do lions eat right for their blood type? Does a lion say, oh, I'm type O? Animals have A and B and A, B, and O. They have different blood types. Does a lion eat only giraffes when it has A and only zebras when it has B? Of course not. That's idiotic. So why is it that humans eat right for their blood type? Now, it may be that certain blood types maybe should eat certain foods. I'm not sure if that's the case or not. But basically speaking, we all need vitamins. We all need vegetables. We all need to have phytonutrients. We all need our essential nutrients. We all need the basics. So much ado about nothing. It sells books. It's marketing. It's very cute and very clever. But for the vast majority of people, it's completely irrelevant when it comes to your longevity or reversal of your chronic degenerative disease or complete prevention of your chronic degenerative disease. Stay away from foods that cause digestive distress. Make sure you're getting a well-rounded diet, especially around phytonutrients, that is plant nutrients, and make sure you're getting your mighty 90 essential nutrients through supplementation. And, it's almost irritating to hear this idea of eat right for your blood type, because most people are eating cotton candy at McDonald's. That's the problem. It's not whether you're eating right for your blood type or not. It's what we're eating that's not right for our human type, for our phenotype as human beings, not our blood type. And if I had Peter Adamo here, I'd say, what the hell are you thinking? Why are you telling this to people? Because it's just not fair. It just throws mud in the water. It confuses people, and now they have something else to worry about. It's very simple. You don't need to complicate this with eat right for your blood type. Eat right for your human type. That's how you want to eat.
Well, and I think it goes back to because you had talked about, the lion eating. He's not going to the store and picking out junk. He's eating what's available,
He's eating what's
right?
available and what his genetics and what his evolutionary history has designed his body to eat. It's not like, there's specific foods the lion or the bear or the dog or the horse or whatever it is eats. They eat foods made for their particular phenotype, meaning their organismic type, their organism, what they are. Horse eats for a horse, a lion eats for a lion, a zebra eats for a zebra. There's no special foods for the zebra. And a zebra does not have specific foods based on his blood type. Zebras eat zebra food, lions eat lion food, dogs eat dog food, etc. And so there may be some subtleties there in terms of human beings, but for most people, that's completely irrelevant.
Well, and like you were talking in the introduction, ultra processed foods, they're
Right,
not what we would
right,
find in nature.
right. Our problem is not that we're eating wrong for our blood type. Our problem is that we're eating wrong for our human type. That's the problem. And we're eating too much. Those are the two problems. Is we don't eat for our bodies, we eat for our minds. And this distinction, by the way, between what the Greeks called psyche and soma is very important. It's an extremely important distinction. We live from our psyches, not our somas. There's more communication going from your body to your brain than there is going from your brain to your body. And so our brain is constantly reading our body much more than our body is reading our brain, which means you can control your body, you can control your brain much more efficiently by working with your body than by working with your brain. So if you have, for example, anxiety or depression or some kind of emotional kind of issue, you can't sleep at night, you're overthinking, the worst thing you could do is to try to take care of your anxiety or depression or overthinking mentally. That just makes the problem worse, and this is what most people try to do. They try to think their way out of anxiety or think their way out of depression or rationalize their way out of overthinking. What does that do? It makes the problem worse. Do you know if you're depressed, the best thing you could do, the fastest way you can get out of your depression or your anxiety or insomnia or your overthinking is to work with your body, to relax your body. I did this on Monday with Bronny. Bronny in Australia. I do a call with Bronny.
Yes.
I did this with the Australian call. So check this out. You can be our guinea pig here. All right. CALM, calm. I heard this I heard some I don't know if she's a psychiatrist or somebody on YouTube talk about this, but it's really cool. Calm, CALM, right? If you have anxiety, if you're nervous, worried about something, or you have some kind of obsessive thoughts, OCD, anything like that, CALM. C, connect. Connect your body to wherever you're at, your seat, your butt on the seat, or if you're standing, your feet on the floor. You connect your body to whatever the environment, wherever you are in the environment. So you're sitting right now, feel your butt on the seat. If you have your hands on the chair, feel your hands on the chair. Just feel your body connected to your environment. C. A for air. Take a very special breath 2 or 3 times. And the special breath is like this, with an extra sip at the top, and then a long exhale. Just do it once, you'll notice that you're already starting to feel relaxed. Inhale, and a sip at the top, and then a long exhale. Do it 3 times. So we did 2. Here's the third time.
Now you were inhaling through your
Inhale
nose,
through everything through your nose, exhale
out
through your
through your
exhale.
mouth.
Yeah. But you can feel it already. You can probably feel already starting to relax. So that's A. L is locate. You locate your body. You touch your body everywhere. You locate it. I'm here. So your brain knows that you're here. Your brain feels that you're embodied. You locate. C, connect. A for air. L for locate. And then M is a little weird, but you still do it. And it's very important. Move. And by move, I mean you shake. And you look stupid doing it, but you do it anyway. Just shake. Just shake. Yeah, exactly. Shake, 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 shake. Immediately, you'll notice that your anxiety or whatever it is starts to disappear. And if you do it 2 or 3 times a day, you'll be a new person. If you do it for a week, 2 or 3 times a day, you won't believe how much different you feel. This is all to show you the relationship between the body and the brain, the body and the mind. There's way more connections going this way than there are this way, and we want to learn to go for our bodies. What does this have to do with eating? We eat from our heads. We don't eat from our bodies, and this is the problem. If we ate from our bodies, we would never overeat. We would never eat a food that the body is telling us not to. We would hear our body saying this, and the next time you want to eat a bag of fries or a McDonald's hamburger, something that you know is really not going to be helpful for you, instead of eating fast, and we all eat fast. That's why they call it fast food, by the way, because you don't eat it slow, you eat it fast. And when they manufacture the food, they have a criteria that they use to determine or assess the value of the food they call throat slip. Throat slip means how fast it slips down your throat, because the manufacturers know that the faster it slips down your throat, the more you're going to eat. So simply by chewing your food, you're going to eat less food. So if you find yourself addicted to some kind of food that you know is not good for you, instead of eating it fast, let's take a Snickers bar, for example. I know I've said this before, so some people have heard me say this, but if you haven't, you take your Snickers bar and you unwrap it, and you have that yummy goodness, chocolate goodness about to hit your mouth with that nougat and the almonds, right? And you just can't wait to eat it. Except instead of just shoving it down your throat the way most people like AJ do it, I'm just teasing you, AJ. I see you laughing. I'm just teasing you. I'm pulling your leg. I'm pulling your leg. And so anyway, instead of putting your mouth, go real slow and listen very closely, and you will hear a voice go, no. It'll be very quiet. If you do it fast, you're not going to hear it. And you can do it with everything. Coke and French fries and cigarettes and anything that you know is bad. If you do it very slowly, you will hear what's called the still small voice in the Bible. They call it the still small voice, but really it's the voice of the body telling you, please don't do that. Please don't put that pizza in me. I'm so stuffed now. And we usually say, shut up and eat the pizza anyway. But at least you'll know that there's a wisdom that's built into the soma that is much smarter than the psyche. The soma is much smarter than the psyche. And our problems today can be summed up in this idea that we have let the psyche override the soma. We have let the wisdom, the brain, which cares about way less important things than the body, override the body. The brain cares about how delicious something is, or what people think about us, or what we need to do to keep up with the Joneses, or what our face looks like, whether we're going to get a date or we're going to get a mate or we're going to be attractive. Our body just cares about being alive, about thriving, about having energy, about fighting diseases, about all the good stuff that we really love. So let's become more somatically inclined, and we'll find that we're eating a lot better. Listen to your body. If you want to lose some weight, plug into your body. See what your body wants. Don't eat there's two kinds of foods. There's the kind of foods we want to eat, and there's the kind of foods we need to eat. And the vast majority of the foods we eat are the kind of foods we want to eat. If you ever go to a restaurant and you look at the menu and you go, I'm so hungry. And then you look at the menu and you go, I just don't know what I want to eat. I had the tuna yesterday. I'm bored of tuna fish. I think I want something different. What do you have different? You're not hungry. That means you should say goodbye and you should go out and play some tennis or something. You don't need to eat. If you need to eat, you'll eat whatever there is to eat. And so we eat for pleasure, for reward. And I just did a blog post on this, actually. We've collapsed two different types of eating: the eating for hedonic pleasure, hedonism, with the eating for biological requirements. And when we eat for hedonic pleasure, we pay the price. Not that there's anything wrong with hedonic pleasure, but when we eat solely for reward chemistry, we suffer. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So let's take some questions here.
All right, let's move on to the next question. But before we do, one important thing, or a few important things that Pharmacist Ben mentioned, is eating the 90, taking in your 90 essential nutrients. Absolutely. Folks, get back with the person that shared this program with you, because they probably know exactly what that means. And they are your number one point of contact. If you do not, and you've never had any of the longevity products, reach out to our call team at 855-949-3377. They'll be able to help you find the right combination to help you get the 90 essential nutrients. And Pharmacist Ben, when I started taking the 90 essential nutrients, my craving for all those things that I should not have diminished.
That's one
greatly.
of the coolest things about a supplement program is you eat less food. We don't talk
Yeah.
about BPT as a weight loss supplement, but it is a weight loss supplement. You'll eat less food when you start supplementing with micronutrients.
And it's nutrient dense. That's
Very
what I love.
dense and easy to absorb.
Yes. All right, let's go to the first hand that is up. And Colleen, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yes, I'm curious if you know how to work with scar tissue or like how to eliminate
Okay,
it. Is that
good
even
question.
possible?
Yes, I've been in the business here, in the scar business for many years. What are you pointing at?
You.
Oh, okay, you're pointing at me. Okay. So what's the definition of a scar? A scar is a repair, a wound repair
Mm-hmm.
that is permanent. It's permanent by definition. That's the definition of a scar, right, Colleen?
Yes.
Permanency is part of the definition of a scar. That means there's nothing you can do for a scar except for to burn it off and then hope it comes back. And they do this, hope it comes back differently. But a lot of times it doesn't because there's a memory that's built into the tissue. So if you have a scar, it's there. And anybody who tells you here's a scar cream is lying to you. And that's very important because they do tell you that. So what you want to do is while the tissue, the reason people have scars is because while the tissue is healing, there's not enough resources present for the tissue to heal correctly. So the real way to address a scar is while the healing, or not address a scar, to prevent a scar, is to get to the wound while it's healing, which is why anybody who's dealing with a wound or who's going through surgery where a wound will occur should be addressing their nutritional, especially their micronutritional status pre-surgery, or at least as soon as the wound occurs, if it's trauma. As soon as the wound occurs, especially fats, particularly fatty vitamins, vitamins A and D are especially important, fatty minerals, zinc, selenium, probably calcium as well, and then essential fatty acids. They're all very important, and also the ultimate enzymes can be beneficial too for improving the prognosis of healing. As the healing is occurring, and this is not going to help you if you already have a scar, but this will help you prevent a scar. And one of my favorite longevity products, I have a few, but one of my favorite, the Fucoid Z, will also support wound healing or healing while the wound is healing to prevent the formation of a scar, and that should be the goal. Okay?
Well, can I ask another? Okay, so the problem is it's scar tissue in the esophagus from heartburn, and
That's a serious problem. That could be a serious problem. Is it for you?
It's for my whole family.
Well, if there's scar tissue, that means you're dealing with some serious reflux. And that can be literally deadly. In fact, one of the most horrible cancers is esophageal cancer, which is related to a condition called Barrett's esophagus. Have you heard of this?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you don't want to go anywhere near that. Once there's scar tissue, once they're scarred, it ain't going away. You got to prevent tomorrow's scar. Now, fortunately, the tissue in the esophagus regenerates very quickly. So if there's scar tissue, that means there's some pretty dramatic reflux because the tissue is very regenerative. In the whole digestive tract, obviously in the esophagus, because it's constantly being subject to forces from food. So the tissue in the digestive tract here and in the stomach and in the intestine is the fastest growing and fastest regenerating tissue in the body, along with the skin, because it's constantly being abused, not abused, but it's constantly has forces applied to it. Does that make sense? You follow me?
Yes.
Now, if you have a whole family with Barrett's esophagus, that means that's a whole family that's not doing something correctly around foods and digestion. Barrett's esophagus and reflux are the signs of a leaky esophageal sphincter. They call it the lower esophageal sphincter. And that's kind of like a muscular band that closes and opens when you eat. You know, eating is a really, really, really complex process that we take for granted. Just swallowing is a complex process that we take for granted. There's all kinds of neurology that's associated with swallowing. When you think about it, when you eat, the food has to somehow, you have a windpipe and you have an esophagus that are they're proximal, they're close. So one has to open and they have to open and close like in this a synchronous way. One closes while one opens, and that's a lot of complexity there. So that sphincter is supposed to open and close when you're eating. Over time, based on A, the wrong foods, and B, nutritional deficiencies, and C, stress hormone, cortisol, as well as probably glycation from sugar, it becomes flabby. Like muscles in general become flabby as we get older, and as the impact of deficiencies and toxicity, et cetera, kick in. When that sphincter becomes flabby, that's when reflux occurs. If you have small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, SIBO, lots of bacteria in the intestine, and they're gassy, that can compound the problem as gases push everything up. So basically what you're dealing with reflux is you're dealing with a food issue. They don't tell you that.
Mhm.
They tell you it's an acid issue. It's not an acid issue. It's a food issue. And it has to do with the sphincter. So if you have a whole family that has this reflux problem to the significant enough to the point where you're dealing with Barrett's esophagus and scar tissue, that's something you want to pay attention to, because scar tissue is a precursor to carcinogenesis, to cancer. Are you with me?
Okay.
And
Yes.
so this is not anything to play around with. As I said, esophageal cancer is one of the deadliest and worst cancers that you can have. I mean, obviously there's no good cancers, but it's something that's very, very deadly and not a good place to be. And if you have a whole family that is experiencing the scar tissue, there may be some things that you're all doing vis-a-vis food.
Sure.
Okay.
Now, you've talked about the Fucoid Z. Is that the
help.
same? Is that the same as the liquid? Because
No.
there's
No.
swallowing pills.
No. ZRadical's for kids and for fun. It's sweet, it's tasty, keep it in the fridge. It's better than, it gives you a nice little sweet beverage. Doesn't have the same medicinal value. The real medicine is the Fucoid Z.
Can the tablet be opened if they have a hard time swallowing pills?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Or yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, great question, Colleen. And now let's move over to AJ, who had his hand up before Colleen and then put it down for some reason.
AJ.
Pharmacist Ben.
What's going on?
So you're not going to like me today because I'm going to do two things that you might not like.
Uh-oh. What?
First thing is I'm going to get political.
Get political? I don't like political.
Yeah, I know you don't. I know you don't. But
Yeah.
you're forced into it. What do you think about 37-year-old Casey Means being nominated for Surgeon General?
You really want me to be political?
I want you to answer the question.
It's a clown show. Casey Means happens. It's a total clown show, the whole thing. What? It's just the way it's all working is it's entertainment. It's entertainment value. Casey Means wrote a book, and I have the book. It happens to be an interesting book. And I think, was it you? Somebody shared a video of him, and it's good. I don't even think he's a physician.
She is a physician. She's an MD.
Is it? But they're her
The
brother.
brother's Kaylee Means.
Oh, Kaylee. That's right. Yeah. Okay. She's an MD. What's her qualification? She wrote a book.
She's an MD.
No, her qualification is she wrote a book. Period. That's her qualification. She's an MD who wrote a book. That's it. So what is she being nominated for? Did you say Surgeon General?
Surgeon General.
The absurdity of it is not. I don't even want to talk. Don't make me talk about that. It's absurd. What is it? It's absurd. You hear about Judge Janine is the
It's Janine Pirro. Yeah, there you go. DC.
They're making fun of you. They're making fun of us. They're laughing at us. They're saying the masses, the public, they don't care. Judge Janine was on Fox, and now she's going to be the some DC district judge. It's silly. Don't make me talk about that. Why would you make me?
Because I wanted to hear your opinion. All right. So, but all right. So that's it. Then I guess you can go on to real questions then.
Yeah, let's go to real questions.
All right.
There's people suffering out there.
Okay, let's go over to Albert. Albert,
Hi, Ben.
what question
How
do
you
you
doing,
have?
Ben?
Yes, sir.
It was great to listen to you on Coast to Coast in the weekend.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. All right. My question is, if somebody's had their thyroid removed and they on the drug Elroxin, how would they get off it? Can they get off it?
What are they on? What? Thyroxin?
Elroxin.
Elroxin.
Altroxin.
Alroxin.
Yes. That's the way I think it's spelled.
Just so I make sure. I'll spell it again.
Altroxin.
Alroxin.
I think that's the way it's spelled. Yeah.
I had never heard of Alroxin. Are you sure it's
Okay.
not L-thyroxin?
Oh, could be. I might have
Is
not
that
been told.
oh Elroxin? You're
correctly.
talking about Elroxin. You're talking about
Yeah.
Elroxin.
Um,
That's an Australian.
it might be.
Yeah, that's an Australian brand name for L-thyroxine, which is a thyroid hormone, a form of thyroid hormone.
Okay.
Okay, so here in this country we call it L-thyroxine generically, or Synthroid. You've heard of that maybe, Synthroid or L-thyroxine. In New Zealand, I think, is it New Zealand or Australia? They call it Elroxin. All right, it's brand name, same stuff. So here's the deal. Every year in the United States of America, and likely around the world, but definitely in the United States, the number 1 or number 2 or number 3 best-selling drug is L-thyroxine. Why would that be? Why would that be? Because L-thyroxine is used to treat hypothyroidism, and hypothyroidism is an epidemic. Everybody is hypothyroid. Now, there's several things about this. First of all, you cannot treat hypothyroidism with L-thyroxine. What L-thyroxine does is it replaces thyroid hormone, because when you have hypothyroidism, your gland is dysfunctional. So you don't make the thyroid hormone. So medical folks, they'll say, we'll give you the thyroid hormone. But that's not how hormones work. Hormones are supposed to go up and down. They're supposed to fluctuate with what you need. Let's talk about just hypothyroidism here in a moment. This is what most people deal with, is hypothyroidism. Hypothyroidism is an epidemic, and it's mostly a female problem, but a lot of people have hypothyroidism. As I said, it's the best-selling drug. Thyroid medicine is the best-selling drug, or top 1 or 2, 3 best-selling drugs. The thyroid regulates everything. Every cell in the body depends on thyroid hormone. That means if you're not making enough thyroid hormone, every cell in the body, that means every organ in the body, every system in the body will be compromised. Dr. Broda Barnes wrote a book in the 1980, I think, or 1979, called Hypothyroidism, the Unsuspected Illness. And he said that all these other diseases, cardiovascular disease and cancer and autoimmunity and movement disorders and dementia and Parkinsons and all these other things, they're all follow hypothyroidism. And you can't treat Parkinson's disease without treating hypothyroidism. I went Dr. Broda Barnes one better, and I called it the triangle. He just talked about the tip of the triangle, which he's right, because it's the jumping off point, but you can't treat the thyroid. You cannot treat the thyroid by treating the thyroid. There's nothing you could do for the thyroid. That's what the beauty of the triangle is. You work backwards. One of the principles of natural healing is where you see the problem is not where the problem is.
Yes.
So you see it at the thyroid, but you can't do anything for the thyroid any more than, AJ, you can treat the fruit. You can't treat the rotten fruit. Once the apple's rotten, it's rotten. You're not going to fix the rotten apple. You got to get to the soil for tomorrow's rotten apple, or tomorrow's apple, to prevent tomorrow's apple from being rotten. So of course they can't do anything. They're looking at the thyroid. Well, I can't do anything with that. We'll just give thyroid hormone. It doesn't work that way. But you work backwards. If you stabilize the blood sugar and work on the digestive system, that's it. Everything else falls into place. That's the beauty of the triangle. Now, the adrenals are the closest step to the thyroid, but the adrenals themselves are responsive to the blood sugar system and the digestive system, which is why I truncated the triangle into the 2 points. So you don't even, because it was getting too confusing with the adrenals and the thyroid. So just work on the blood sugar system and the digestive system. L-thyroxine will give you some energy because the thyroid hormone gives you energy. It'll help a little bit. But as any pharmacist will tell you, it's very tricky to dose accurately thyroid hormone. Because, as I said, your needs vary during the day, every hour of the day, time of the month, time of the year, etc. So it's very difficult to work with the thyroid by using thyroid medication. In this person's case, without a thyroid, they don't have any options. You got to use the thyroid hormone. So they don't have anything. They don't have any choice. What you really want to do is not have your thyroid taken out. If you have cancer, then you have your thyroid taken out. Okay? That's thyroid cancer. But a lot of people have their thyroid taken out because they have Graves' disease, or they have their thyroid poisoned because they have Graves' disease. Graves' disease is an autoimmune disease that's also known as hyperthyroidism, And hyperthyroidism is an autoimmune disease, which is a digestive issue that causes the thyroid to really go crazy, to rev up. Hypothyroidism is not, it's bad, but not quite as bad. Graves' disease, you're just freaking miserable. You sweat, you're jittery, you have anxiety, you're real skinny, your eyes pop out of your head. It's an awful, awful condition. And understandably, a patient will say, take the darn thing out, because if you don't know, but it's not smart to take your thyroid out or to use what they call, they have drugs now that they use to poison the thyroid, or they'll actually radiate the thyroid. And that is, you know, it sounds barbaric, and in 100 years, they're going to look back at modern medicine and they're going to say, what the heck were these people thinking? To burn and to cauterize and to ablate and to radiate and to x-ray and to remove and electrocute. And it's just, it's craziness. It's barbaric. It's medieval. But this poor gal, I'm assuming it's a woman because most people who suffer from this are female, but whoever it is, you know, she's out of luck. She doesn't have a thyroid. So she has to use the thyroid hormone. That's the only option she has.
Is there any way of counteracting it or assisting the body together with the?
No, you've taken out what is arguably the most important gland in the body. Arguably, there's other glands, but you know, I don't want. Yeah. It is an important gland, and you've removed it, and there's nothing you do. You're fighting Muhammad Ali in the boxing ring with one hand, or Mike Tyson with one hand. You know, it's not much you could do, and this is why I think the show is so important, and our work is so important. Rebecca and Albert and Phyllis and AJ and all the people who are on the call here, Rod, and you know, all this work is so important because people don't know. You know, this poor woman, if she came to me, I would say, do not let them take your thyroid, don't, or your gallbladder, or your breasts, or your uterus, don't. If you have cancer, okay, but most of it's usually not because of cancer. Okay?
Yeah, great. Okay. Ben, thank you very much. I'll let the next question come. Bless you.
All right. Thank you so much, Albert. Let's move right over to Phyllis. Phyllis, what question are you bringing in today? Unmute yourself, my dear.
All right. We have several from YouTube, a good mix of questions here. You'll like them. Okay. Dylan asks, is it safe to take 400 to 600 micrograms of selenium? And that's because on the web, people are saying, oh, you go over 400 micrograms, it's toxic.
It's plenty safe. Selenium is a very weird substance. And you don't want to take too much selenium, but 400, 600 micrograms is not too much. You don't want to take like 2 milligrams of it, or you know, 3, even 1 milligram is high. 400, 600 is not a problem.
Excellent. And it's water soluble, right?
No, it's not really water soluble. Ionic or plant derived selenium is water soluble, but the way most people are taking selenium, it's not water soluble.
Got it. Okay, now Hunter refers to someone named Gary Brecka.
Yes.
He says, Gary says we need a genetic test to supplement correctly.
You don't need a genetic test. But his point is interesting because if you really want it to be perfect about it, yeah, everybody's genetics is going to be different. The problem is genetic tests aren't very accurate. So you can't really use genetic tests. But his overall point, his big point is that there's biochemical individuality that's accurate. But for most people, we're so undernourished and we're so missing that it's not a big deal. If you were like wanted to get every single molecule just right and everything was perfect and now you just want to fine tune it, then yeah, you should do that and take things at certain times a day and all of that. Yes, that is important. But for most people, we're so starving, we're so deficient, we're so malnourished that just getting the stuff in the body is the most important thing to do. In the long run, his point is probably correct that everybody's genetics is going to be different. But practically speaking, most people are so deficient, it's not going to make a big difference. Just flood your body with nutrients and let the body decide what it needs. In the big picture, his point is not inaccurate, though. I'm not a big believer in genetic tests because you never really know, because of epigenetics, what exactly is happening via the genetics at that given moment. But his point is definitely well taken. In a perfect world, that's ideally everybody would have their own personalized nutritional supplement program.
Would you be happy if someone was taking the 90 essential nutrients?
Would I be happy?
Yeah, because that's my point is That's why we have the 90 essential nutrients. So
Yeah.
people don't have to try and figure all this out.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. For most people, just give your body the 90, you're going to feel better. If you're like a high-powered performance athlete, or you're a biohacker and you're fine-tuning every single parameter in the body, maybe, because it is true that we all handle things differently based on our epigenetic profile. But, practically speaking, that's not going to matter.
All right. And then our third question from April, her husband just had TIA, and he's 68. He's taking the 90 essential nutrients, oxybody, glucogel. What else should he take?
Okay, so he has incidences of TIAs. Are you familiar with TIAs? You know what a TIA is?
At least one. It's transient.
Transient means it comes and goes. Ischemic means there's a shortage in chemicals. Ischemia is when the chemicals are incorrect. It's particularly oxygen. Attack, a transient ischemic attack. That's a burst of symptoms that are associated with a blockage in blood flow. You get a vasoconstriction and you don't get blood flow to the heart. You get a transient ischemic attack, and it can be very, very disconcerting. If it's transient, that's one thing, because it's basically like a stroke, but it's transient. It happens and it comes and goes. It resolves in a minute or two. But for a minute or two, you're going to feel like you had a stroke. You have vision problems. Your speech will be slurred. You won't be able to hold things. You may lose nerve control over your extremities. So it can be a serious problem. It can be a very serious problem, but it's not. It comes and goes. It's like a precursor, like a prelude to something much worse. So what it's telling you is that the cardiovascular system is under duress. That's basically what's happening. And so you're getting a vasoconstriction in response to some kind of duress. So what you want to do if you have transient ischemic attacks is you want to start treating yourself like a diabetic, number one, because that's the most important problem associated with cardiovascular issues, is glycation and insulin. So this is a sign that the blood sugar is whacked out. It can also be associated with a toxicity that's getting in through the intestine, through a leaky gut. It's basically the triangle. And then oxygenation is also important, and breathing and movement can help with oxygenation. But as long as there's chronic inflammation, that's going to affect the oxygenation. So if there's inflammation, that goes back to the digestive system and the blood sugar system. Assuming the person has not been injected with anything, because that can also cause problems. Assuming that's not the case, digestion and blood sugar. That's a classic case of the triangle.
Wow. So simple, so important.
It's so simple and so important. Well said, Phyllis.
All right. I will turn you over to Zach.
All right. And Zach, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you. Becca. Pharmacist Ben,
yes, sir.
Your knowledge is very empowering. You're very empowering, and
I appreciate that, because that's what I want to do. I want to empower. That's my goal in life. I want people to be empowered.
What you just said of Fucoid Z, we're gonna get on it right away. Well, I have a great testimony, but a question to tell it.
Let me hear the testimony. Let me hear the testimony.
Loved one. I'll be specific. My wife. She had a cyst, ovarian cyst removed. Pathology came back. It was clear cell cancer, stage 1.
The ovarian.
They recommended her to get a hysterectomy. And got the surgery in September, hysterectomy last month. The lab work, the CAI for ovarian went down completely to no more cancer on the blood work. The CT scans, no cancer. And the last thing, the pathologies, no cancer on she's been on the program. She's been very faithful at following Dr. Wallach advice, she's been taking the ZRadical, but after what I've heard today, we're gonna help her get on that Fucoid Z.
Yeah, keep the ZRadical. Keep the ZRadical in the fridge for like a beverage kind of thing. But for medicine,
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. So here's the question. What can you help us? They're pushing that whole chemo just in case, because that cancer comes back aggressively, and the 5 years it can, people get it back.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Can and we appreciate your knowledge. What can you shed some light?
Yeah. Let me shed some light on that.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the testimonial. Thanks for the question, and thank you for the kind words. So here's the deal. Cancer does not occur in a vacuum. Cancer is not cancer. By calling it cancer, we present a misleading a vision or perspective on the disease. There's no such thing as cancer. That's a simplification. There's no breast cancer, there's no uterine cancer, there's no ovarian cancer, there's no skin cancer. They don't exist. You say, what? What are you talking about? There's skin cell cancer, ovarian cell cancer, prostate cell cancer, liver cell cancer. This is not just semantic. This is a way of looking at the challenge that gives us more control. If you say it's an organ, you have no control except to remove it or to kill it. But if you understand that it's a cellular phenomenon, now you have some power. Because cells are not stupid. A cell will only become cancerous when it is at its wit's end, when it doesn't know what else to do. Cells are constantly dependent and reading the environment that they sit in, like a seed is in soil. You follow me, Zach? A seed is to soil as a cell is to the environment it's sitting in. Or a baby is into a womb, a better example is a baby is in the womb, like a cancer cell or any cell is in the matrix. A cell is embedded in the matrix the way a baby is embedded in the womb, and it is the matrix that determines, and the soup that the cell is swimming in, all cells are swimming in a soup, that is going to determine what that cell does and how well it performs, or how healthy that cell will be. The matrix and the soup. I hope this is making sense. The cell is constantly reading the environment it's in, which is liquid and solid in terms of a matrix, and they call it interstitial fluid, but you can think of it like a soup. The issue with cancer is the soup and the matrix within which the cell is sitting. And this is why there's no cure for cancer. The best they can give you is a 5-year survival rate. And they'll tell you that. Doctors know this. They'll say there's no cure. There's only a 5-year survival, and if you survive 5 years, you're said to be in remission. But there's no cure, and the doctor's right, it's going to come back because they haven't changed the soup. They haven't changed the matrix. They haven't changed the environment that the cell is in. So to answer your question, everybody out there who's dealing with cancer and being told you need chemotherapy is, yes, they're right. If you keep things the same, if you don't make changes, it's going to come back. But that doesn't mean that the only solution is to take the poison, the chemotherapy, which really doesn't work all the time. In fact, doesn't work most of the time and definitely poisons your body to the point where you're miserable. Change the soup. Change the matrix, change the context, change the soil. You follow what I'm saying? Change the environment that the cell is in. And that's how you not only deal with cancer, that's how you deal with all health challenges. What we're talking about here is changing the environment that the cell is in. The cell can only there's only 3 things that go wrong with a cell: starvation, suffocation, and toxification. So what do? You feed the cell mighty 9 essential nutrients, macronutrients. You breathe the cell through movement, as I said earlier, through breathing techniques and reducing inflammation. And that gets back to the first 2 points in the triangle of disease. And the third point is the toxification. You eliminate the toxins, or at least reduce them. And sugar is a toxin. And processed oils are toxins. And many of the things that we ingest on a regular basis because they're delicious are toxins. Not to mention the things doctors tell us to inject into our blood are toxins. Not to mention the things we breathe from our air are toxins. Not to mention the things we drink from our water are toxins. Not to mention the hormones and the antibiotics and the pesticides and the fungicides and the fertilizers and all the things they put in plants are toxins. So you reduce toxic load and you reduce caloric intake. Calories represent a burden. You put nutrients in the system. You breathe the system. You change the terrain. In the 1900s, there was a big battle between two scientists. One was a microbiologist who was a beer maker, actually, and he studied yeasts, because you obviously use yeast for beer. So he was a yeast expert, and he came up with this idea that disease was caused by living creatures. This was revolutionary. This is the 1800s. They didn't know about this stuff, and he called them germs. And he developed something called germ theory. And germ theory said everything is about the germ. And his adversary, if you will, the scientist's adversary, said, no, it's not the germ. His name was Claude Bouchamp. The first guy was named Louis Pasteur, by the way. The second guy is Claude Bouchamp. And Claude Bouchamp said, no, it's not the germ, it's the terrain. He actually called it terrain theory. Germ theory versus terrain theory. It was a big battle in the 1900s. And guess who won? Louis Pasteur won, because with germ theory, there's something you can do from the outside. You can kill the germ. With terrain theory, you got to work on the inside. So germ theory lent itself to us going outside to authorities. Terrain theory said you got to do it yourself. See the distinction? So with germ theory, we could get drugs. We get antibiotics. And of course, antibiotics revolutionized medicine and really revolutionized our entire society and culture, because we kill bacteria. But Bouchamp's idea was, hey, wait a minute, you can't grow a seed in a soil that's not conducive to that seed, to growing that seed. And in fact, even though Louis Pasteur won, on his deathbed, he famously said, Bouchamp was right. It is the terrain. On his deathbed. But by then the wheels had already turned and the drug industry was born. And and to this day, we still believe in germ theory, and terrain theory is relegated to quacks like me, and Dr. Wallach, and, alternative practitioners and people who are pseudo-scientists, pseudo-medicine. They have all these wonderful, pejorative terms for us. But the fact is, you can't grow seed in a soil that doesn't want to grow the seed. That's not conducive to the seed. So for cancer is a classic example of that. Yes, the doctor is correct. It will come back. And, that's why they do chemotherapy. But that's not the only option. Change the terrain. Change the soil. Change the background, the context, the interstitial fluid, and the matrix, the general milieu of the body. And that's how you deal with cancer, in my opinion.
All right, that's a mouthful that I know is going to help a lot of people. Pharmacist Ben,
yes,
you are awesome. Zach
Thanks.
says thank you so much. Do you have times for one more?
One more. Let's do it.
All right, AJ's got a question.
AJ.
Okay, question and comment. And so one of our teammates, State Senator Emeritus Gary Siplin, says, Judge Janine was a prosecutor for years. She's no hack. It's a quality pick. She will execute the law fairly. God bless you, Ben.
Thank you. This is a real senator who's on the call?
Yes.
He's serious?
So State Senator Emeritus, and he is on your team.
He's on our team?
Yeah.
Yes.
How come I never heard about this? Is this from the guy from Florida?
He is in Florida.
Oh, you're kidding me. What's his name?
It's Senator Gary Siplin.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm honored. Gary Siplin. Siplin?
SIP.
And he's actually listening to this call?
He listens he loves you, man. You got a lot of people who respect what you do.
Oh, man.
All right.
Gary, show up. Don't be shy. You're a politician. You can't be shy. Where's Gary?
He's an ex-politician. He's trying to enjoy life.
Oh, okay.
At any rate, we have Yvonne Ray is one of our team, and she deals with microcurrents to deal with scar tissue. I just wanted her to chat with you briefly.
Put her on.
Hey Ben, how are you today?
I'm good. Who am I? You said Cynthia?
No, this is Yvonne Ray.
Hi, Yvonne. Hi, Yvonne. Have we met?
Hi.
Have we met?
Well, yes, actually, let's see. We met at Glenn's house. We've met
Farmer
at
Glenn?
Tom's house.
The
Yep,
late
Farmer
Glenn.
Glenn.
Are you here in Colorado?
Yeah. No, I'm not, but I did travel to see y'all a couple times.
Well, very nice. Nice to talk to you, Yvonne. Are you a skincare professional?
I am not.
Okay, but you have a machine for scars, is that right?
Yes.
It's
So
microcurrent?
just as a reminder,
Yeah.
you know, we are more than just chemical.
Yes.
So I work on the electrical of the body,
Chemistry
and
only works because of electricity. Let's be clear here. Chemistry
Amen.
only works because of
Yep.
electricity.
And
Electricity is the foundation.
electricity is 70 times faster than chemical.
Absolutely.
So
Chemicals carry electricity, but it's the electricity that doesn't work.
yeah, and so I just, you know, there was a comment. You're correct. Chemical can do nothing for the scar.
Healing is
However,
electrical. You're absolutely right. If that's what you're going to say.
yeah,
Yeah. Do you know about Dr. Becker?
so
Do you know about the work of Dr. Becker?
that is part of the
Yes.
study that I'm required. Absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
And
That's
so,
absolutely.
you know, by using these neuromodulators, we can go in, break up that scar tissue, neutralize that collagen matrix fiber,
Yes.
and then restore electrical to the organ or the tissue that has the damaged or affected tissue.
And
And
that's
it's
the
more than
damage.
just,
That's the
yes.
damage, but that's not the scar. Scars are different from damage.
So
The
we
damage is
treat
the wound.
using frequency specific, according to Siskin and Walker, we can treat scars using a hertz, a microcurrent hertz of 77. And I've been doing this almost 10 years now. And I do see you know, I'm a pain specialist and I'm using the microcurrent for the pain. And then I use the nutrition for the rebuild of any of those tissues. But we can see, you know, a drop in pain. You'll see a keloid scar, any scar, soften, change. One of your other teammates, Michelle Ford, who's had, I think it's a lot of surgeries, lots of pain. The nutrients did much to improve her health, but there was still some, what I believe to be scar tissue pain. And when we begin to start clearing those, working on those, she not only has greater function, range of motion, but a drop in pain. So just wanted to remind you, while chemically we can't do anything that I'm aware of, we can with microcurrent, as far, especially around the esophagus. I've done a lot of people that have esophageal or larynx, pharynx, either from a stroke or they get that scarring ring. You're probably familiar with.
You should hook up with Cynthia. Who is it? Cynthia? This
is Yvonne.
No, this is Yvonne. But we should hook her up with Cynthia. I think was talking about she had Barrett's esophagus, or she had scar tissue in the esophagus. Hook them two up. I know about healing and wounds, and I've read Robert Becker's work extensively, actually, and I do know what he talks about with fields and morphogenic fields and electrical energy and wound healing, particularly around animals like salamanders and reptiles and lower on the evolutionary scale creatures. But I didn't know that you could actually, once the scar is there, use microcurrent to reconstruct the tissue and heal it. I wasn't aware of that, and I'd actually like to see some, you know, if you want to send me something, I'd love to read about it, Yvonne.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're using devices from NASA and DARPA.
So that doesn't impress me. NASA and DARPA doesn't impress me.
No.
But I want to see, literature.
It's not just any microcurrent. There's plenty.
Okay,
go look it up.
Yeah, show me the literature if you have it. Do you know how to get a hold of Rebecca or anybody on the team?
You guys know each other? Rebecca.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'd love to read about it. Thank you for sharing that. That's really cool.
Yeah, and that was Colleen. So Colleen, reach out to Yvonne. Yeah. I know you can find her on Facebook and social media. So
yeah, thank you for sharing that, Yvonne. I'd love to read about that.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Thank you so
fun.
much. I love
And
our smart, we got
Pharmacist
some smart listeners here.
We do have some really smart
love that.
listeners.
I love
Have
that.
time for one more.
Okay, one more.
Got one more hand up.
All right, one more.
Sam, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hey, Sam.
Okay, thank you. Quick, easy questions.
Yes,
One,
sir.
the Tangy Tangerine, when you take it in the liquid format,
Yes.
can you take it as a shot, or do you need to handle it like you do the powder, where you have to drink it throughout the day?
Are you saying the powder? I'm not sure what you're saying. The shot?
Tangy Tangerine that comes in the concentrate liquid.
Oh, the liquid. I see what you're saying. If you do it, the whole idea of doing it throughout the day is you give your body what's called a sustained release, a timed release almost dose, like a divided dose, and it gives your body a chance to absorb things. If you do it all at once, what you don't absorb right away you're going to urinate out. So you can do it that way, but it's much more effective to do it spread it out as long as you can.
Got it. And then last question, easy one. I'm 90 for life for like 8 years.
Nice.
I have a clean diet, but my question is, I have on the right side of my face some sebaceous hyperplasia, and I know this might not be the format, but would any of your skin products work?
Yes, retinol is what you want to use. Get our 5% retinol serum. But sebaceous hyperplasia is an insulin issue and a blood sugar issue. So while you clean, there might be something wrong going on with your blood sugar, and I don't know how old you are, but it's pretty
60.
Oh yeah, so I was gonna say it's pretty typical if you're in your 50s or 60s to be starting to exhibit some dysglycemia or changes in how you handle sugar, and sebaceous hyperplasia is a sign of that. So I would be yourself like a diabetic, healthy blood sugar pack, etc. And then also, if you want to use topical strategies, retinol, get our retinol 5% serum or gel. I like the serum a little bit better, 5%.
Okay,
and just apply it to the hyperplasia.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sam.
Great question, Sam. And I'm glad we got to that because that's not a question we've had before, Pharmacist Ben.
Sebaceous hyperplasia.
Right.
All right.
So we
should do a skin. We could do a skin show because that's really, I like. I like the skin. That's, to me, that's my favorite organ, the skin. I love talking about skin. Okay.
We'll do a skin show next week.
You want to do a skin show next week?
Yeah, let's do a skin show next week. But you have to promise one thing.
What?
That you don't talk about it first on the Mineral Way.
Oh, we got competition here. The Mineral
Well, no,
Way.
I was so excited when Ivan mentioned, hey, because he was listening to a podcast, and I'm like, is that Pharmacist Ben? And then I was listening, I'm like, wait, I know that voice too.
I'm cheating on you. I'm cheating. I'm two-timing you.
It's fantastic.
Do you feel like I was cheating on you? I was two-timing.
No.
So where did you hear the Mineral Way?
Ivan was listening to it as on a podcast.
Okay, good. I'm glad. Yeah, the Mineral Way is my podcast I do with my friend Dave Michaels.
Yeah.
So I won't talk about skin till next Friday.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You got it. Thank you, everybody. God bless everybody. AJ, Marilyn, Ruth Ellen, Albert, and Becca and Phyllis. You guys are awesome rock stars. Coach Rod, if you're there somewhere, you as well. And everybody listening, God bless everybody. And we don't have to suffer with CDD. It's in the body's nature to heal, and we can do it ourselves. And I'm going to go.
That's right.
Everybody.
Thank you so much, Pharmacist Ben, and thank you to the team as we had many questions coming in from the different platforms. Thank you so much, Phyllis, for bringing some of those in, as you are a rock star that has been here talking and promoting the 90 essential nutrients longer than anyone else on this screen, and not quite combined, but longer than combined of 3 of the people on this screen, minus Ruth Ellen and I. So thank you so much, Phyllis, for all that you do as being part of the team that got Dr. Wallach on the radio in the first place. So thank you so much, Phyllis. And also thank you to Albert bringing in questions that are out there in regards to topics that people are so concerned about, because I know so many people who have had thyroid removed and want to know what they can do about it. Folks, don't get your thyroid removed. And if you can help not getting anything removed, don't get anything removed. I don't know what just happened. But thank you so much, Albert, for bringing that question in. Joining us from South Africa, we've got Ruth Allen, my executive production manager, helping to keep everything flowing smoothly, keeping us on track. Thank you so much, Ruth Allen. And we have Marilyn. She and Phyllis both were doing a great job in the chat. So I just want to do a shout out to Marilyn, as she's got some speedy fingers. They both do. They both do. Here, I used to do it myself, and now I'm so thankful for them. Beyond measure. Thank you, Marilyn. And we have AJ, our director of social marketing. Is that what you are now? I don't know. It'll keep changing. But AJ has been responsible in getting us out on all the different platforms, and he's got more that we're going to. So we want to make sure that we're meeting people where they're at. Thank you, AJ, for keeping a pulse on that as well. And I didn't see Rod on today, but he comes on and helps to bring in the social media stuff as well. Folks, don't forget to like us, love us, and most importantly, if somebody referred you to this program, get back with them, tell them thank you, and ask them how you can get the 90 essential nutrients. And there's no one to thank. Give us a call. I've got a team of certified holistic health coaches standing by to take your questions and calls at 855-949-3377. My name is Becca Dukes, as the producer of the show, also certified holistic health coach, as my team are, and a certified naturopathic practitioner. It is my honor and privilege. I'm also the director of student services for the Institute of Holistic Health. So if you want to be a certified holistic health coach, I'm the one to talk to. You can also get more information by going to coach.dailywithdoc.com. So until next time, we will see you Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week by going to zoom.dailywithdoc.com from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific, 1 to 2 Mountain, 2 to 3 Central, 3 to 4 Eastern. And if you need help figuring it out beyond that, ask your favorite search engine. So excited to have each and every one of you with us today. Have a fantastic day and be empowered, as you do have more empowerment. Oh, wait, AJ's raising his hand. I guess I better look at the screen, not just the camera. AJ?
So all the mothers out there, have a fantastic Sunday.
Oh, yes. Happy Mother's Day, everybody. That's why I have a team, because I can't remember everything. Thank you so much, AJ, for remembering that as well. And folks, until next time, bye for now. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health.